Hey y'all, this is John Pollard. I'm here with my fishing partner Dallas Weldon. This is my 5th video for the Alamo Bass Talk. I didn't get a video in last week, so this is April 19th. This is my first video since the Alabama Bass Trail South on the Alabama River last week. Was a very challenging event with the flooded water. We had high muddy water, which is always a challenge to find fish. If you can find them, they're usually stacked up, and it's pretty obvious that Wesley Gore and Brian Slipher found some monsters stacked up. They had a nice bag, had 20.19 pounds to win. And I believe I heard they were back at the boat ramp a couple hours after blast off. So congratulations to them. Great event for them. Second in that tournament was Adam Bain, Chris Colley. Third was James White, Eugene Davis. Sorry, second place had 1927. I think they had all spots, so it was a big old pretty bag of spots. James White, Eugene Davis had 1861. Mark Mott, Justin Mott had 1614, and Shane Horton and Brandon Horton had 1608. So had some good weights there. I believe I said last week I thought with the conditions 16.5, 17.5 pounds would win. So I've been high on all the other tournaments I predicted. I went lower on that prediction, and everybody proved me wrong. So that's fine. That after 3 tournaments, that's got Rob Lee and Steve Winslet in first in Angler of the Year at 648. Brian Stifler and Wesley Gore right behind them, 14 points behind them at 634. Clay Harris, Joe Williams, 613. Fourth is Josh Chaplin and Paul Davis at 612. And coming in 5th right now is me and Dallas. So we've moved up a little bit. It's going to be tight. It always is. So anybody who's ever been in the Angler of the Year race on into the year with Alabama Bass Trail knows that it can change in a hurry. Anybody can have a bad tournament. That happens. You're pretty much out of it. But we're hoping at least stay in condition going to Eufaula, and we'll see how it shakes out. We'll see how we can do on lay. That's our next event. We've had some decent tournaments on lay, and then we've also had some tournaments we've really struggled on lay. So we'll see what we can do and what these other guys can do. We know it's going to be hard to catch these guys. It's really an accomplishment the times that we've made the team championship, which is the top 9. We would like to do that again. We're going to give it our best shot. I know all these other guys are too, and I know everybody behind us is trying to do it as well. So we'll see how all that shakes out at the end of the year. Well, I'll talk about our tournament day here in just a minute. The Alabama Bass Nation High School event was last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, April the 9th on Lay Lake. That was won by Braxton Hopper and Jake Woodward with 1703. Triton Graham and Huntley Dees had 1656. Austin Denmark and Colton Odom had 1438. So that's the top 3 from that event. So congratulations to them. Good job, guys. Again, any of you that are out there that have the opportunity to support some of these high school programs in any way, monetarily, boat captaining for an event, anything you can do, help these out. It's a lot of work for these parents and schools and boat captains. And these are good kids. I actually met a couple of these kids on this list I just read today at a recruiting event. So everybody I had there was a good kid. So it gives these guys an outlet, something to do, and a way to earn scholarship money for college for some guys that may not have considered college. So help them out if you can. Other event from last week that I saw some results on was the BFL Choo at Wheeler. I think they've had 3 events. This was the 3rd event. James Johnson won with 2402. That's a big bag of fish. Mm-hmm. Mickey Beck had 20 pounds, was in second. Casey Martin, 1908. Chad Hall, 1902. Chris Webb, 1806. Top 5. Right now, Angler of the Year, Mickey Beck's leading. Casey Martin second. Brad Weiss is 3rd. Brandon Bright is 4th. It looks like he's tied with Corey McMullen for 4th. Brandon Bright and Corey McMullen. So good job to all of them. Tight race up there. Tight race in the Bama division of BFL, the one that I'm fishing. We'll be having our 3rd tournament, I think, in a couple of weeks on the Alabama River. So, anyway, our day on the river. Dallas practiced Thursday. Mm-hmm. and we both practiced Friday. We hit areas that we were hoping to find some fish stacked up. You had no bites?
No bites Thursday.
No bites Thursday and a couple bites Friday?
Just one. It was a catfish.
That's right, yeah. I had one bite Friday. You know, fishing the same places every year and or the same, you know, lakes and river systems, you know, sometimes it pays off. So me and him have been fishing the river for a long time. We knew of an area that we sort of left alone, and to be honest with you, we didn't know we could catch them in that area. But we were not going to check it as bad as practice was. So
No way.
we did not want to. We wanted to have hope, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and not do something totally, you know, crazy and way out there. So we were very fortunate. We were actually high-fiving third or fourth cast that morning. I caught a decent spot. And we were actually high-fiving that we had a fish in the live well, because me and him both were really worried this could be a really bad event for us. Fished around, hit a couple of places in that area. I don't know, 8:30?
Yeah.
8:30 or so. I had a bite. It was a very light, weird bite. I wasn't even 100% sure it was a bite. We were throwing a crusher shaker head with a trick worm on it, and I said, hey, I think it has had a bite there, but it was just a weird light bite. And we ended up catching a limit there, and I think culling once on that just one little place. And so we left there when that slowed down, couldn't get any more bites. We tried a few more places in that area, and then we ran to some current, fishing current. Well, there was a lot of boats around the Coosa. That's where we went. We left this area, went up the Coosa, way up, didn't go all the way to the dam. But we ran up the Coosa, we fished it for a little while, had a couple bites, didn't connect with anything. Actually ran back to the area we'd gotten several bites, or that exact spot we'd got several bites on. Pulled up there, Dallas dropped the trolling motor, I made a pitch over there, picked up on it, and one already had it, and it was a 4-8 spot. So that really helped us, and I think that's it. That's all we called, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Besides the catfish.
Besides the big catfish on the way back. So Dallas got our blood pumping on the way back, put up the dip net, ran all the way back down to around Montgomery, had a few minutes, stopped on place, had a few minutes to fish. Dallas throws a big spinnerbait out there, third or fourth cast, and hangs a giant. Got my blood pumping, about tore up the boat trying to get the dip net back out. But it was a big catfish. So that was our day. But we were proud to have it. We finished 18th.
Mm-hmm.
We finished 18th. So that moved us up in the points. So like I said, we would love to be in that top 9 at the end of the year. So with our practice, we'll take it. And so now we're heading to lay here in a few weeks, or I guess about a month. And I'll tell y'all in a minute why Dallas is here. He's not just over here hanging out for the video, but so quick Martin Jordan report. I've been saying for several weeks, hey, the spawn's got to happen soon. It's got to happen soon. There's a lot of males up. There's some fish spawning here and there, on and off. Been saying that for 3 weeks. Well, 4 weeks now. All right, so now it's happening. It's happening. If you want to go Martin or Jordan, there's fish on the bank. There's fish that are already done. There's fish coming. This full moon this week got them rolling. So there's spots and largemouth doing their thing. You know, if I've said before in my videos, my biggest advice is on the spawn is slow down and, you know, drag you a wobble head, shaky head type baits, and, you know, just slow down. Floating worms, those type of things. So it is happening, finally. I don't know if it's happening on the rivers. I haven't been in the river, so I assume it will be. So if you guys want to schedule a trip with me, go to bamaspots.com. You can see my services. I'm pretty much booked up now the rest of April. I've got some openings in May, and I'm already booking. Already got 3 high school guys booked in the summer for lessons. If you guys, you know, have a high school or you're an adult new to bass fishing, I've taken people on my Bass Basics class from 8 years old up to 65 years old, retired, and just getting into bass fishing. So I do a lot of those during the summer. If you're 65 and you can't handle the heat, may not be the best time for you to do the class, but these kids, we try to get on the water early, and usually try to wrap up the on the water portion by 11 or 12, and then we may go get in the shade somewhere and put the power poles down and work on knots and different things. I work with them on that. So if you're wanting to book that for the summer, you need to go ahead and get with me now. Like I said, go to bamaspots.com, or for booking, go to email me at spothunter@bamaspots.com. All right, so I've got Dallas here today. I've been my last video said I was hoping to have him here on the next video to talk about line. So me and Dallas have been fishing together for like 20 years. I think the first tournament we fished together was 2003, and we had fished some together. Yeah, we've been together. It's our 20-year anniversary. You gonna take me to dinner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started fishing together in 2002, and we fished together for I don't know, 8 or 9 months, and we started fishing the CABTT tournaments. If you remember that, Erskine Taylor, and he used to put on some tournaments, and it was about the only thing going around here in Central Alabama. So, and there was a lot of guys that fished them trails. So, and so Dallas and I fished together. Dallas has also had success. You guys that follow the ABT 100, him and Ken Walters fished last year. Came in second angler of the year. Came in second in 2 events in a row, and then started out this year by winning Jordan. He's also won weekend series. He's won some BFLs, or he's done well in BFLs, and he's had won charity tournaments, those type of events. So what I'm saying is he's a dang good bass fisherman. And one of the things that's always impressed me about Dallas, sometimes it makes my head hurt because he gets to talking about things and I don't really want to listen to him. But then I'm like, what did he say? What is he talking about? So he is very particular about his baits, line selection, rod and reels, what he's using for what technique, he's so particular that he will not throw a plastic worm if it's a little crooked on his hook. Drives him crazy. I'll just keep chunking it. But he partnered up a couple years ago with K9 Line, and he's real knowledgeable on line. He's talked to the owner a lot, and he knew a lot before that. But I wanted to get him on here to talk a little bit about line, some of the stuff he tells me, and half of it I don't listen to, and then I'm wishing I had because I'm trying to remember what he said. So now I'll have a video and go back and watch instead of just texting him. But so Dallas, you can tell a little. I've sort of told about yourself, So when you got on with K9 Line a couple years ago, what separated them, or what made you want to partner with them?
So the reason I partnered with him, I don't know if the guys know Eric Cagle. He's I won't say world-known crappie fisherman, but at least well-known all over this country. He won the Crappie Masters National Championship a couple years ago. I've been talking to him about fishing line, and he is sponsored by K9 as well. He uses this K9, it's high-vis 6-pound fluorocarbon. He uses it almost exclusively, especially for casting. And he says, I never have to change line. I just put new line on whenever we break off enough that I have to, re-spool. He said it has almost no memory. It doesn't get real twisted like some of the other lines. And so I said, man, I'd really like to try some of that K9. Could you get me in touch with the owner? So he did, and I called the owner of K9, and we talked about, plans for fishing and how we thought I could help him. But so we made a deal. I said, send me some line, please, and I'll check it out and I'll try it. And if I like it, I'd be glad, to represent your brand. And what he and I talked about is line diameter. Everybody gets wrapped up in pound test ratings on line, and that's really not what you should be looking at. It's the diameter of the line. And we talked about earlier. And one thing K9 does, and back up, is they put their diameters. You probably can't see that, but they put it in millimeters, which is, and just about everybody else goes to thousandths of an inch. So the difference in that is there's 25.4 millimeters in an inch. I don't get too technical for everybody, but if you want to convert the millimeters to inches, you divide by 25.4. If you want to go the other way, you multiply. So I'm gonna pull up my calculator real quick. But I remember hearing David Fritz. I've always followed David Fritz. I love everything he does fishing wise. He was, one of the pioneers in crankbait fishing back when it was popular, or started to become more popular. But he talked about .011 line, .011, and what that is 11 thousandths of an inch diameter, and that's what most people would deep crank with back in the day, and that's like 10-pound test line. So if you look at, say, here's a 15-pound test. This is a Seagull Red Label. A lot of people use this. It's a .013 diameter. Okay. Well, here's a 15-pound. It's a Yozuri hybrid, and it's a .016. So what this is really a 17-pound test line that they put 15-pound on, and it makes you think it's a really strong line, but hey, it don't cast well for a 15-pound line, you know, because it's the diameter is bigger. So after fishing with K9 for a couple years, they make a fluoro, an original fluoro, and it's this 550-pound spool, 550-yard spool is about $20 on their website, and that's a really good deal for 550 yards. The thing about this line is it is not 100% fluorocarbon. This line casts really good. It's really smooth. It's very limp, and but because of all that, it's not very abrasion resistant. So you have to give something to get something.
Right.
And I fell in love with this line, but it took me about 6 months to fall in love with this line. And the reason is, this line is probably a step up from what monofilament. You know, when we started out 20 years ago, big game was the deal. Mm-hmm. And you can't just get a bite and slackline one with monofilament. You can't do it. You shouldn't be slacklining anyway. That's a whole different conversation. By slackline, I mean hook sets. With this line here, this forces you to feel the bite, get the slack out of your line, get the line tight, and then jerk. And I think it helps me catch more fish now, because when you know how I used to rapid fire. I'd feel the bite, and I can't tell you how many times I broke off just as soon as I feel it, or lose a fish because you set the hook too quick.
Even hard, you set the hook really hard.
Real hard.
Yeah.
So like with a chatterbait, for instance, now when I get a bite with a chatterbait, I feel the fish like it quit chattering or slack line. I reel all the slack out, get it good and tight, and then pull into the fish. You hardly ever lose a fish on a chatterbait anymore. So I really like this line. Anybody that probably goes out and just buys this may not like it to start with until you, especially for those type techniques like hook setting, you know, with a wobble head, a shaky head, a jig, a Texas rig, stuff like that. Now for chunking and winding baits, chatterbaits, spinner baits, anything like crankbaits, this is definitely what you need to be using, in my opinion. This is what I use. And I use 2 sizes in that. I use a 14 and I use a 20. And the reason is their line is pretty small diameter for the pound test rating. So their 14 is probably about like a 12, maybe I'd say a 13-pound test if there was one. It's really good for your smaller crankbaits. If you want to get the most action, get a little bit of depth out of it. I'll throw like a 10XD on 20, even an 8 and a 6XD, or 20-foot diving crankbaits. I'll throw it on 20-pound because it's really like more like a 17-pound line. If you want to get it on, but it casts so far, and it's such a smaller diameter, you can get that bait down there, right. and then you got the comfort of knowing I got a little more strength than normal. But I can if I want to get really deep with a 3/4 ounce diving plug, I would throw 14 on that too.
Okay.
So this line does have stretch. It casts a mile. They do have 100% fluorocarbon, and it's the same way. The diameters are a little bit smaller than what you're used to. So what I recommend to people when I talk to them is, hey, just buy some sizes, but I would go up a size. If you normally buy 15, they make an 18-pound in this. I would try the 18 too. So you're used to that diameter versus what you came from. And I know lines are getting hard to get these days. Everything's in stock on their website. It's k9products.com. But that'd be my advice. Start paying attention to line diameters and don't go by pound test ratings. And remember those diameters for the techniques that you like, and go from there.
You've got that 25 there? Do you use it for anything?
Yeah, so I use 25 for skipping docks and any kind of flipping, anything close quarters.
Okay.
That I'm gonna really crank down on one. I want that extra little bit right there to help me out. Maybe it won't break off as much.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you followed all that on the diameter, so I understand more because that's the first time I've really listened to everything he said. Most time he's talking to me while I'm fishing. So, but I mean, he showed me here before we started this video with some different lines I had on my table here behind me, the difference in diameter. So I used the Yozuri hybrid some mainly because of the price, and it's pretty good line. But I've noticed with it, like 15 does not cast like 15-pound Red Label. So when he showed me, the diameter is more like 16 or 17 pound line. So that's the difference there. So you've got some guys out there that may be, you know, on a budget. This is reasonable line. They want to go to a fluorocarbon or a higher grade line. You know, for just a basic type technique, somebody that wants something for a medium heavy, you know, spinner bait, worm rod, they'll do a lot of different things. What would you recommend to them as far as poundage and what style line they sell there?
So for a spinner bait and a worm, I would definitely throw 20.
Okay.
If not, if I know I'm going in heavy brush with it, probably 25.
Because is that the 100% or the?
Well, no, it'd be the. I didn't touch on that since I've gotten good at using this original line that has some stretch to it. I don't even like fluorocarbon anymore because what happens if you backlash fluorocarbon?
Yeah, it gets brittle and
it's so dense, it burns, and I don't know how many people have thrown out there after they backlash and their line break and the lure go out in the middle of the lake and the line's still broken in the spool. So if you're not a really good caster, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball using fluorocarbon. I'm not knocking it. Some people are really good at it. I just, you know how I am about efficiency on the water, man. I want to be able to backlash and not be thinking the next time I set the hook, my line's going to break.
Right.
So,
okay.
But I pretty much throw 20 on everything that I'm just going to be chunking and winding, especially the bigger stuff.
And then say like the 10 or 12 on the cranking.
Yeah, 14.
14. Yeah. Okay.
And those little swim baits we like to throw with a little 3/8 ounce ball head. That's 14 pound original. Yep.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate Dallas coming and talking about it today. I hope that helps some of you guys out there and girls out there. If you're like he said, if you're looking for to try K9, you can go to k9fishing.com. They've got all their line in stock. Their prices, I looked at their prices last night online. They're very reasonable. I actually saw somebody made a post about everybody's line going up, and Dallas commented and said, well, K9 says not, or hasn't gone up as much.
Yeah, it's in their model to not sell to big box stores. You can't get the Bass Pro, Academy, Tackle Warehouse. You have to go to a local mom and pop shop, and I know the Fishing Hole over in Clanton carries it now.
Okay.
And we're trying to get it in Barnes store up in Carrollton, Georgia. And hey, if you got a store by you that doesn't carry it and you want to use it, talk to them about it. If you got any questions about this line, Dallas Weldon Fishing on Facebook, you can shoot me a message. I'll try to help you out, answer your questions. If you didn't get any of this, understand it. But it's a really good line, and it's an American company, and they're good people there, so it's good to support them.
Okay. Well, hey, check them out. I've tried it. I've liked it. And you know, and like Dallas said, if you got any question about it, ask him. If you ask me, I'm probably going to refer to him. But ask him. You can find him on Facebook, and then me as well. If you like these videos, you're watching them, you think they would be beneficial to somebody, please help me by liking and sharing my YouTube page, John Pollard Fishing, BamaSpots.com, or my Facebook page, John Pollard Fishing. Thank you. I'll talk.